let's talk about how we're going to use NoodleTools to cite our sources for science. Okay, the very first thing we're going to want to do after we've logged into NoodleTools is to go ahead and start a new project, right? And we want to make sure we give it a really good name. For science, it should be specific. So if you are citing your sources for your cell model, you can call it Cell Model Project, or even better, Plant Cell Project, or even better, Animal Cell Project, right? If you're doing sources for your design challenge, you can call it Design Challenge Project, or you can call it Pop-A-Shot Physics Game Project, right? Keep it nice and specific. In science, we normally use APA citation method. If you used MLA in the past for other classes, that's okay, but we're going to use APA for science. And for 6th grade, we are going to start off and use junior. Great, now we have our project all set up. It is time to add a source. So we click on the project itself, and then we click on New Source. Now, how do we cite something that is online that we've accessed using our Chromebook? Well, something like this online article about Bill Nye. Most of the time, you're going to use web page for these things. You can use it for any interactives we have in science. You can use it for any of the DPS 109 science teacher articles that you would find like on a Google Doc. Anything linked on our resources. This could be an investigation or a tutorial, anything. You're pretty much going to use a web page, right? We find it under website, and then we click on web page. There's one slight one you might want to also look at, and if you're doing something from YouTube, you might want to pick a video clip, but to be honest, YouTube is a website, so if you put web page, it would be just fine. Okay, so when we do a web page, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with the URL, which is also called the link or the website address. So I went to the Bill Nye article, and I copied and pasted this one, and I put it in the section where it says URL. After that, we're going to try to fill in as much information as we possibly can. And I like to look for this information at the top of the article or website and at the very, very bottom of the article or website. So on this Bill Nye article, it was published November 27th, 2023. That was at the top underneath the title. So I'm going to go ahead and fill that in. And because I just looked at it, my most recent date of access was today. I'm going to click this today, and it's going to auto-fill in this little section here. Now, I'm going to go down and I'm going to try to find the author. I'm going to have to change this role to say author. I'm going to fill in their name. If this is something like Gizmos or MergeCube or DPS 109 Science Teacher or National Geographic, you can put all of those things under group. And it's okay if you don't have a first name or a middle name, right? If you can just fill them out under group, that's totally fine. If there's more than one contributor, you can add a contributor here. And, copying and pasting these things is totally fine. So I'm going to copy and paste this title over. And I am going to pay attention that NoodleTools is just a website, so it's going to make mistakes too. And this is very clearly telling me, oh, there's something wrong here. So we are going to want to make sure we check for errors. And I'm going to read the suggestion. It wants me to decapitalize the first letters of the words in this particular title unless they're proper nouns or acronyms. So it's kind of interesting because it thinks Nye is not his name. So I'm going to be smarter than NoodleTools and make sure I change only when I'm supposed to change. So it's going to look like this, right? I'm going to keep Bill Nye as a proper noun because it is his name and names are proper nouns. And the rest of it I'm going to put in lowercase. And then I'm going to write the name of the website, which again I can copy and paste over. All right. Now, what if we have something in person that's not on the Chromebook? I don't know, like a book. Oh, well, we can go to the part that says print or in hand, and we can cite a book. This also would work if you had like an in-person magazine, or if we did like a field trip to a museum and you looked at something in person. All of these things would count. But today we're just going to talk about the books because that's the most common one you might do that's actually in your hand. Like, for example, this book that is in my hand. Now, there's a trick to doing the books, and it's to steal the ISBN number. You can normally find it on the back by the barcode. Sometimes it says like -13 or dash something else. Basically, you want to take this number and type it in where it says ISBN. And it's going to take a little bit of time to get it, maybe have a peer read it to you. But once it's in there, it kind of shortcuts everything. And so then you have to select which one best matches, And I already see there's some errors in here. I can see Naperville is spelled wrong. So I'm going to make sure I check for errors in a little bit, but I'm going to hit import selected source. And then I'm going to check for errors. So here's one that I found. It has Chris Ferry in the title. That's the author. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that. And then I'm going to continue. Okay. Now, I've entered all the sources for my project. I've got everything in NoodleTools. What do I do now? Oh, it's time to export. So you go up to the top, and there's this nice little export print button, and you're going to export it to Google Docs. That is the absolute easiest way for you guys to do it. And you can export all the sources. If you were fancy and you color-coded them, you could select certain ones, but for you guys, you're probably not doing that, and you're just going to export all of them. Now, as soon as you have your source doc, with my one sad little source here, you want to make sure you click on this little folder. There we go. Click on this little folder and move it to your Google Drive Science folder, because that way everything you need is in your Google Drive Science folder. It's a very good habit to get into. Now, once you've got all the sources on your Google Doc, how do you get them onto your project, right? If you're doing a website, your sources have to be on your website. If you're doing a presentation, your sources have to be on your presentation. If you're doing a poster, your sources have to be on your poster. Now, you can copy and paste them. And it's okay if they don't copy and paste perfectly. If you have presentations, you might have 2 or 3 slides of sources, and that's okay. But you can kind of just select all of them and copy and paste them over. All right, that is it for citing sources using NoodleTools. Good luck, scientists.